Apple Vision Pro, Georgia. Is this our first look at the Jarvis Friday Star Trek future or the dystopian Ready Player One gone wrong?
So my thoughts about it is that I want it to be amazing. I have great hopes for this. I love AR and VR. It's really my thoughts.
Can we quantify that?
Please.
So between the two of us, we have bought and own Oculus Rift,
yes,
HTC Vive,
yes,
Vive Pro,
yes,
Valve Index,
yes,
whatever the first Facebook small one was, PlayStation VR 1 and 2.
Yes.
I forget, it was Oculus Go, I think it was called.
Yes.
And then now what they call the Meta Quest 1 and Meta Quest 2. So we are first in this topic.
Yes. We have it all. We've tried it all.
They were amazing, but they sucked.
Yeah, there's something wrong with each of them, right? There's just something that's off on all of them. The PlayStation, I find the headset very uncomfortable. It's just and Apple comes in, it sweeps in and they take a look at all the problems that they have and they make it better.
Yeah, I think that's very astute because Apple for smartphones, they waited for about 10 years. There was Palms, there was Blackberries, there was Nokia, and they looked at the problem space and they said, everybody hates these phones. What can we do better?
Yeah.
Tablet PC, with the iPad, same thing. 10 years of tablet PC, Windows on tablets. We understand the problem. Now let's give people what they want. Yeah. Watches, they were a bit earlier because Pebble and all of those weren't around as long. And I think we saw that because the watch took 1 or 2 generations to really find its focus. Now, amazing. We've got both Ultra, Apple Watch Ultras.
Absolutely amazing.
Now with VR, there have been those years, from the early attempts at making Virtual Boy, all the way to through the Oculuses and the Vives and the Indexes. And so the problem space is there. And this feels like it solves some of it. The resolution of the screen is so intense and the eye tracking is so good and the controls are so natural, but it still feels like it's a helmet on your head.
Yeah.
And the part I really want your opinion on is this idea, the problem with VR before is that you were blocked from the world.
Yes.
You literally had a thing on your face.
Which was the good part of it and the bad part of it, right?
Yes.
You weren't in your space, which was really immersive. It was amazing. But then you'd knock things. I smashed the wall.
Yes.
We've broken mirrors,
other people,
lights. Many people have been hit.
Yeah.
Many
many humans have been harmed in the making of these games.
Absolutely.
And also, some people say it's isolating. We've seen we have seen Ready Player One, but we've also seen WALL-E, all these futures where we're just a bunch of blobs sitting with headsets on.
I want the chair that will bring me everywhere, bring me a drink. Yes.
So Apple is trying to alleviate this 2 ways. One is by when someone comes into your proximity, they'll move through the mist into your field of view. It'll get
terrifying.
But apparently, it's not. Apparently, they did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
Also, you can dial back the immersion from none, where everything is layered on it's not. It looks like your room, but it's not. They're recreating it for you, with very low latency. But it looks apparently like your real room, and you can see that, or you can go to full immersion, but you can dial that around you.
Yeah.
And for the other person, part of the setup process is scanning your face and creating a 3D avatar of you that you can use for FaceTime calls because you can't have a camera on you anymore.
Well, there is a camera on you, but it's not that camera.
It's too close. Yeah, it's too close. And they're using that model to project the eyes onto an external LED screen that's then parallaxed.
And it's your eyes.
Yeah, well, it's the virtual version of your eyes. Okay. So it's not like a picture of your eyes. It's that 3D model they built from the the scan. And if you are seeing the world, you'll see the eyes. As you go into movie mode, it'll just obscure your eyes so that people with you can tell
you're not there.
Whether you can see them or not. Yeah.
You can't pretend. Yeah.
Yes. So my question to you is this isolating? Is this dystopian? Is this more connecting, less connecting, wrong connecting? How do you feel? How should we as humans feel about this?
So I think that even with having the eyes kind of projected out, there's definitely, even in video games, even the best that you can do, that pupil dilation, the movement of the eyes, that slight delay we read as microexpressions. And we see that right away as there's something wrong. It is that uncanny valley. It's that feeling. And that happens a lot in video games. When you're playing a video game and the person's eyes are just a little bit off, it causes us a lot of kind of internal distress and anxiety.
Is that evolutionary?
Yes, because we're noticing that there's something wrong with them, which could have been an illness, a sickness, zombies.
Alien, zombie, yes.
Yeah.
Like Boston Dynamics.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so that gave us the first signs that there's something wrong with someone else, that there might be something off, they might be sick. So we noticed that immediately. But because of that, unless they do this perfectly, it will actually cause, it's better to be a cartoon where
like
you
an
can,
emoji.
further away from it, unless you can be like completely directly in. People notice that. And most of our brain processes eyes, depending, of course, if you're on the spectrum, then less so. But really, most of what we're doing is we're reading eyes. Like if you look at the face, not just micro expressions, but even if you take a look at a scan of where people look when they're talking to someone, it is like 60 to 80% on the eyes. And then we look at everything else. So most of what we're reading into for body language, which is most of language is body language, is through the eyes. So you're taking away, and that's why Apple's trying to reproduce this, you're taking away the number one signal of how someone else is feeling, what they're doing. And so because of that, even with it the best projection, and it's not like a face eyes, it's like eyes that you're seeing through glasses, you're still missing out on some of that. And so person-to-person interaction, it's better than just having the goggles, but there's still this feeling of there's something in between us.
Yeah, I think that's really true. And I think, like full disclosure, I work for YouTube. YouTube is part of Google. Google has Project Starline, and Marques Brownlee recently made a video on Starline, and it's similar technology. It's not a helmet. Like they use a projection system, so you're not wearing anything, but it does scan you and make a 3D model of you and offer that to the other person, and they offer you that other person's model. And it is 3D, and it's so realistic. Like it doesn't look good on camera. So Apple's might look way better than what we saw in the presentation, especially in that 3D environment. But like Marques was being like, someone would like pretend to hand us something and he would reach for it because his brain forgot that it was this like, it was such an immersive form of communications. This could be, when you're looking at it on those lenses in that environment, really immersive.
It could be. And if it does a good job, it will help that person-to-person interaction. And with having the world there where you can kind of see it, and that you choose the type of immersion that you can, then that might be a really nice way to be able to navigate.
It's $3,500. We should have said $3,500.
Yeah, did you hear the groans from the audience?
Big screen
it's a little
TV,
bit pricey.
Plus like all these things. But like that's a family experience. Like we've done that. Like we've sat together like with a bunch of people. Like you have a theater and we can sit with like 4 or 5 people, really big screen. We can watch a movie together, where this is like you. And the screen can be IMAX size. It can be incredible. It can be 180 degrees, but it's you.
Yes. I have to say, I've watched movies in VR. It was quite a nice experience with other like strangers in VR. I actually enjoyed it. There was something that was cute about it. I don't know. I don't think that would be the way that I would usually.
Would it be different for introverts?
Well, you can shut off the amount of, like, you can have people or not have people. So you get to choose your level of interaction with other people, and you can turn them off. We would be able to like turn off if you could hear the banter or not hear the banter, depending on how immersive you want it to be, like a theater.
In the olden days, in the before times, people would sit with reading newspapers and not pay attention to the person across from them.
Yes.
So it's not like the technology's fault. The technology is like an accelerator of.
We already do that. Like in every single next technology, people say that this is going to destroy society. This is going to change. It is definitely going to alter it. But I think that a lot of people now are very comfortable with screens. After COVID, we spent most of the time remotely and dealing with people kind of through between a glass. I also do most of my treatment now remotely. And so it's between a glass. And I think that those first few sessions, it takes a little bit long. I'll be honest, a lot of my people like already kind of seen me or like know, so that changes things. But I think that the first getting to know you takes a little bit longer because you're missing some of the body.
Yeah.
You're seeing most of it, still the stuff that's really important, but you're missing some of it, and there is a little bit of that delay. Yeah. I think that it is different, but I don't think that that's actually going to be destroying the fabric of civilization.
What fabric? There's nothing left.
Yeah, exactly. We're already doing that. We're already mostly on our phones or our technology, or not really interacting with people.
But don't we use isolation and solitary confinement as a form of like discipline and torture already?
But for some people, this is actually a way of being able to participate where they wouldn't be able to participate beforehand. So this is a way that if you are having to lie down, you can't be at a computer screen, you can bring it with you, you can participate. So I think that it depends on who. I also think that it is not yet at the level where it's so good that you would prefer to use it. And I think that that's the problem with the barrier to entry, is that you are wearing something on your head that you have to fit on. It's still relatively heavy. This is not light. And I play a lot of VR. I'm very used to putting on a headset and kind of going through all of the set, and which I don't mind, but I don't want to wear it for long periods of time. Doing this for 8 hours would be completely exhausting. If I play a long game, like if I'm 4 hours in VR, which I've been longer in VR, but I'm exhausted after. My head hurts, my neck hurts. And so I don't think that this is going to be replacing just a regular computer screen just as yet. Because the thing that you want, if you're offering a technology, is you want it to be better than the other alternatives. And I'll ask you this question, Rene. Is it? Do you think that this is better than the other alternatives for technology yet?
I think as a pure technology, it's better. Like it's doing things that it's solving problems that no headset has solved before, albeit at a price because the future.
What do you think it is solving that is better than before?
Well, I think like just like the quality, like there have been some high end, like high resolution, high refresh rate headsets before, but I think Apple gets to control their own pipeline, their own optical pipeline, their own imaging pipeline, basically. Their own, and they made their own chips where not only does it have a chip as powerful as your MacBook Air in it, but it's got an R1 chip now, which, famously Apple hired away from Canada, the CEO and the vice president of QNX, which was the company that makes all these real-time operating systems for nuclear submarines and for like nuclear facilities, for car units. A traditional computer is great. It's super fast, but like, imagine you're wearing your headset and Safari hangs and suddenly the room is not rendering anymore. Right. That's terrible.
Yeah.
But this is being offloaded to a real-time processor, which is like, it doesn't go fast, but it is absolutely precise. So like your game could fritz out your window, but the room will never stop and you'll still feel that thing.
Right. And so also like it used to be you had to have a computer, a very high-end computer. You'd have to set it up. And it was really arduous to be able to do that. To get it set up, you had to have a lot of technical skills and there were a lot of bugs. For this is a complete set.
Or the Quest would be like low res, where it looks like you're looking through a screen door.
Yes.
Yes.
But at least you could just like plug and play. You could use it. You didn't need to have another set of hardware, a computer with the fastest running chips on it. This is all in one.
Yeah.
It's
well, with
all
a
there.
dangling battery pack.
It always has the
dangling battery pack.
But you're also not wired, right? Like so the old sets you're wired and so you're kind of like tethered. Yeah, the wires, well, it's to the battery pack and the battery pack is sending the signals and that's it. Yeah.
One big miss, I think, and I've been saying this for a long time, is that Apple had iTunes and they had movies and TV shows, but that never stopped them from having Netflix and Disney Plus and all of that. And Disney Plus was announced as a partner. You're going to have all these wonderful Baby Yoda experiences, for example, on this. But Apple has, for some reason, refused to do the same with gaming companies. So there's not going to be any, like, as far as we know, maybe they'll announce something because it's not launched yet. It doesn't come out until next year. Never say never. But like, there's not going to be like the Steam store. So all the games you've already bought for your other headsets that you can play on a variety of your headsets won't play on this. Also like Xbox Game Pass, for example, where you could have access to a ton of games. They're going to have, as far as we know, announced already, Apple Arcade at launch.
I think that that's a really huge miss because I love gaming in VR. Like, especially with, like, if they had Steam, like there are so many amazing games that are already out there that you could add, and that would increase its value. So why do you think that, and Apple's never, I'll hate on Rene, send all the hate to Rene, but like Apple's never been really strong as like devoted gaming. Like,
well, they own so much casual gaming, which is so valuable.
Which is great. They make a lot of money from it. But I'm sorry, I don't want to play Candy Crush in 3D.
You don't, you do.
Like I will.
Yes, you totally will. That's going to be your most played app.
I will. I'll play it. But I'm not dying. Like it's not going to make playing Candy Crush, I don't think it's going to make playing Candy Crush any more fun to be immersed in it.
Yes.
Versus if I'm playing like Half-Life Alyx, like being immersed is a big difference. I don't want to do that in just 2D.
I am really looking forward to, Matty Hapoya on Twitter said that Final Cut Pro is going to work. And like, I'm not sure if he means like they just announced the iPad app for Final Cut Pro, which has like very touch-friendly controls, but also like you'll be able to open your Mac and put up displays for your Mac. Like imagine you go to work, you take your headset with you, you put it on, you open your Mac, and suddenly you have like a window with your client, all your client notes here, like background information, like your whatever workbooks you have.
Just thinking about doing therapy in which I had actually thought about. I don't know. Like I think that one, having the headset would probably be, and having a virtual.
Having them stare at your virtual eyes.
I don't know. But like really, I want to have like the gloves where I can like do like the
but it's going to just look at you. You don't even need the gloves because the cameras are looking at your hands.
I know. I think that that's great. I think that you can use that. I think that people that do like, taking a look at 3D models before they've actually created it and being able to see if all the pieces fit in VR AR works really, really well.
I think like this one was very deliberate because there is no way that they can mass produce this. It is just too complicated, too expensive. And I think like the big tell here is that Apple called it the Apple Vision Pro, which basically says this is going to be a family. Like otherwise they would have just called it Apple Vision.
Yes, and there's going to be a
a mini or a nano,
yes,
or like
exactly.
like a whole
Yeah, some
family,
sort
a
of-
Pro Max,
Yes.
like, which is like a full helmet. I don't know. But like that's signaling that this is one of it, and it feels very experimental. And like the original iPhone was like so much money for back then, and then the subsequent one was cheaper. And I think like the subsequent ones are going to be cheaper. Just for example, like, or not even cheaper, but better. Like this is still a 5 nanometer chipset. Like it's like fourth or fifth generation 5 nanometer, but because TSMC was late with getting 3 nanometer, but like the next generation will have smaller, cooler, faster, more powerful chips, and that's going to affect everything in that helmet. More than that, though, I'm thinking like long arc of history. If we look forward, the clocks moved from like the town square to your living room to your pocket to your wrist. Computers have moved from like universities and like big
rooms,
businesses,
yeah.
to our desktops, to our pockets, to our wrists. Like we don't have to reach for our phones anymore. We can just look at our watch.
Yeah.
This we don't even have to we don't have to raise our wrist anymore. It's right there.
Yes.
But the next step, like obviously, like you look at Jarvis or you look at Friday, like in Avengers Endgame when Tony is like making the time travel stuff.
Love it.
He's working in the middle of the air talking, and we have large language models now for AI, and we have generative AI, which like where you could talk literally and say, do this for me, do that for me. And it's coding with you and you're moving the blocks and seeing them. Like we have to get to that. And then the Star Trek computers and everything after that. And you've done a series of
getting
videos
my
on
holodeck.
Cyberpunk. But I mean, like beyond a holodeck, like Cyberpunk, this will move from big helmet to glasses to maybe contact lenses to maybe head like bump thing to maybe inside.
Yes.
And then like we won't have to wear the helmet anymore. We'll just have layers of data on top of our vision.
Which
like maybe
would be
we'll get it, maybe we
very
won't.
cool.
But then there'll be like the 8th generation implant.
Yes.
And I think Apple has brought all like they've been working on AirPods for so long and spatial audio and spatial like visual like all of this I think is coming together.
They have the infrastructure to be able to do it. And the coolest part is that when Apple enters the game, everyone else then suddenly pays attention because they know that Apple's done all the research to see where they can end up. Like they're not thinking about this as being the be-all, end-all system. It's going to have a whole bunch of bugs. It's going to have all kinds of things. But this is going to, one, just not just propel Apple, but it will propel all these other companies to enter the game and to see if they can do other things. So my greatest excitement with it is that this means that this product, which I love the idea of it, can go so much further. And that's really exciting.
Yeah, they mainstream things. Like they took the smartphone from being like a nerd product to like now everybody has a smartphone. They took like the tablet from being like this nerdy Bill Gates thing to now everybody has a tablet.
Same thing for the watch.
Yeah, the delta between the original iPad and the second iPad, between the original iPhone and iPhone 3G, between the first Apple Watch, the third, fourth Apple Watches is enormous. But it picks that mainstream path, and then like Samsung knows what to do, and like all the other.
They all look like the Apples.
Yeah, but even like the other companies are like, oh, like, and people are like, I want this, but not like some people just don't want the Apple version, and so but they now like, okay, now I know what I want, but I don't want Apple's version, and then there's so if you had to bottom line it for me, if you had a bottom line for everybody out there. Are there things like, is this like an easy thing to see, like this is going to be super popular in the future? Or are there things as individuals, humans, society that we should be careful about?
I think that with every single technology, it comes with a certain amount of costs. I think that for this, it's going to come with more benefits than costs, which what it is, because we're already often in front of a screen. And I think that if they do a good job and get better and better jobs with having it be kind of invisible on your face so that it isn't kind of intrusive and blocking things, that would be really cool. And I think that that can be a great benefit. So I think that as with everything, it's not really the tool, it's the way that we choose to wield it, and we should wield it responsibly. And so there'll be different questions that we need to go through, but I think that there's many steps before this becomes mainstream. I think this is going to become, this will be niche, and it will be niche for a while until it actually improves our life, like makes things better and easier. And I think that that's also the space that they need to really work on.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Rene.
Yes.
Are you going to get one?
Are you saying that because you know if I get one, you're going to take? See, but this is where Apple.
Yes,
this is where Apple screwed you personally, because it's going to have different inserts and and like modular prescription lenses per person. So it's going to be much harder to hand down unless you want to go. Maybe you can just go buy a different insert.
You're going to get it for prescription?
Well, no, they're magnetic. They pop in. I don't know because I have like short-sighted, so maybe it'll work fine with the screens. But like they're going to custom fit the whole mask for you. And maybe if you buy someone secondhand, you can go to an Apple store and get it refit. But I'm not.
I think it'll fit anyways.
Yeah. But I think like this isn't the end of the beginning. This is, or the beginning of the end. This is like the beginning of the new beginning, sort of. Like this is where the technology is going. This is the first, I think, real palpable implementation we have of what the next thing is.
And this is just such a great push for AR and VR.
Yes.
So And it makes people talk about it, which gets me excited.
If you're really into this, Apple has a ton of dub sessions on Vision programming. But to get in on the ground floor of transformers and large language models, generative AI and machine learning of everything that's coming next, check out neural networking on Brilliant.org, today's sponsor. Brilliant makes college-level courses available to you, to me, to everybody. It's just the most intuitive and engaging way to learn about AI, but also computer science and math, physics and quantum mechanics, game theory, and much, much more in a visual, hands-on way, all designed for high-velocity learning to help you stay focused and reach your goals fast. And Brilliant makes learning like a game with fun features that let you challenge yourself and compete with others, all with helpful explanations along the way, so you're never left guessing, just learning. Brilliant also has thousands of lessons with more added monthly. And to try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/Rene Ritchie or click on the link in the description. The first 200 of you will get 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription. So just click the button on the screen or go to brilliant.org/Rene Ritchie. Clicking on that button really helps out the channel, and so does checking out this video for much more on how Apple engineers their hardware from the silicon on up. Just give it a watch, and I'll see you in the next video.